Okay, well,
What's your name?
hold on, let me. Oh, Jesus, why did I do this? Okay, well, as most of y'all know, my name is Crystal. I've been sober since January 14th of 2024, or January 15th of 2024. I've been in Oxford House since March 1st of 2024. I guess, I was an IV drug user, methamphetamines for 27 years. I guess, I started out like everybody else, you know, my mom got pregnant with me. My real dad died 2 months before I was born, so I never got to meet him. And then my mom married, my stepdad and his dad. Or my mom married my stepdad and his dad lived with us. He lived in the camper in the backyard. From the age of like 2 to 5, my stepdad and his dad both physically abused me and sexually abused me. After that, after everything happened, they both went to prison. My mom met my stepdad, who I consider my real dad, when I was 7. From 7 till about 15, my childhood was alright. It was good. I was in middle school and I got with the wrong crowd. And our middle school was next door to the high school. And the high school, they had like this big science department where they had a big mercury spill. So they closed the school down for a couple days. So me and my friends were like, well shit, they got out of school for a couple days, let's see what we can do. So we went to the science department and we got all these boxes of thermometers. We went downstairs, it's a 3-level school. We went downstairs to the bottom of the stairs and we smashed these damn thermometers with our shoes. And then we walked up down the hallways, fucking trampled in all of the school. Well, they closed it down for a couple hours, they arrested me, I went to jail. After that, they expelled me from school, and my dad, his main thing was, if you're not going to do anything else, you're going to get your education, you got to go to school. So, after me going to court and everything, after I got out, the judge was like, you need to go to Job Corps. So, I signed up for Job Corps. I just turned 16, I signed up for Job Corps, and then they sent me to North Carolina. I was in Job Corps there for 4 months until I got kicked out of there for fighting. I got my GED while I was there. Came back home. I just turned 17, and I got my first job at Wendy's. And you know, Wendy's, back then they would let you, charge food to your account. So all my friends are like, you get work at Wendy's, bring us some food. So every day I'm bringing all this food home, Well, time for me to get my first check. They ended up firing me because I was overdrawn $47. I owed them $47 for all the food I got. So I was like, shit, okay. Well, my mom says, well, if you're not gonna keep working, then she's like, you need to go back and get you a trade. So they sent me back to Job Corps. This time I went to Kentucky. I was there for almost 2 years. Graduated from there. Was gonna go to advanced training, which was another 2 years. Graduation night in Job Corps. Everybody that was graduating, we all, we get to go on pass and stuff, so we got our motel room for the weekend. There was like 12 of us. And you're not supposed to drink or do any drugs, while you're off campus. Well, it was graduation night for us, so we were like, fuck it. So we just got a couple bottles. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We got a couple bottles, and we were all drinking. I mean, I was drinking heavily, very much. And I remember it was me and my 3 female friends, and there was like 7 or 8 guys. We were all in the room, we were all drinking, playing beer pong. Well, I remember my friend saying, because she lived like in the same city as our Job Corps, so she didn't live on campus. She could meet back and forth. Well, she's like, I'm gonna run home for a few minutes. And I was like, all right. She's like, come on. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna chill out. I'm just gonna chill here. I think we were playing cards at this time. And I remember I was sitting up for something, and the whole room started spinning. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh man, okay. I don't think I need to drink anymore. Well, they left, so it was just me, one other girl, and at this time there was like 6 guys in the room. Well, my homegirl, she walked out of the room with one of the guys. I was blacking out at that point. So I had just laid back, trying to just get my marbles together and just trying to, take a breather, and I don't know, I woke up, well, I kind of, when I realized what was going on, I had a guy holding my arms down, another guy holding my legs down, and there was like 6 of them to turn to me at that night. I called my mom after we left there. When they finally let me up, I jumped up, I ran out the room, and my friend was pulling up, and I got in the car with her, and I was like, just drive, take me back to center. And she's asking me, she's like, what's wrong? And I went to talk, I was real silent. And she's looking at me, she's like, what the fuck? She stops the car, and she's like, what happened? Something happened, what happened? And I'm trying to tell her what happened, and I'm not making any sense because I'm still really totally drunk as hell. We get back to center, and I didn't even go to my dorm. I went straight to the office. I was like, look, I want a plane ticket, I want to go home. And they're like, well, you're supposed to go, to advanced training, you're supposed to leave in 3 days. I'm like, no, I'm foregoing all that, I want to go home. I called my mom when I got to the airport here in town, and my mom's like, what are you doing here, what's going on? I was like, just come get me, I'll tell you later. My mom comes to get me, she could tell, she's like, Crystal, what's wrong, what's going on, you're not really talking, usually when I see you, you're real excited, tell me what's going on. And I was like, man, some really bad stuff happened to me, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to go back, I'm done. Well, I soaked for a couple days, stayed at home, didn't really do anything, didn't really talk to nobody. But after that, after a couple days, I was like, all right, I'll just let it go, whatever. And I went on about my life. Well, I turned, I turned 20, and I met this guy, so in love with him. He was an older guy, way much older than me. Like I said, I was 20, I think he was like 38. And I ended up getting pregnant by him, had a baby. He leaves, he goes back to his country, be with his other wife and family there. So here I am, 21, got a baby, still live with my mom. Fast forward a little bit, I married my husband, I met my husband in 2005. We got married, we were together 18 years, we had 3 more kids. Come to find out, after 18 years being with him, he had been messing with my oldest daughter. She had told me about it. I did everything my mom was supposed to do. I called the police, DCF came, they did the whole, took her to the hospital, did the whole thing. Well, at this time I lived in Mississippi, and they were like, well, you don't have no support here, your parents aren't here, nobody's here that you have here, go home. Go back to Florida, go home. So, I packed my kids up, packed my whole life up. We had a 4-bedroom house there, 2 vehicles. My kids had everything. And I packed everything into one of them pull-behind U-Haul trailers and my SUV and came here. I got here in 2018. 2019, well, when I got here, we stayed in a motel probably a couple months until money ran out. I tried to stay with my sister and her husband. They're real bougie. They were like, no, we don't want nobody staying here. My mom was a long-distance truck driver, so, she didn't have a house. She lived in her truck. And my family, they were just, they were real bougie. They were like, no, nobody can stay here with us. So what I did was, so me and my kids, we pretty much lived in my truck. We parked in my sister's driveway, and we lived in my truck for like 2 years. 2020, I got an apartment finally with my mom. My mom started staying with me. 2019, I met this girl. We started dating or whatever. We were together like a year and a half. I moved in with her in Tampa, and she let me back up a little bit. Right before I got pregnant with my 20-year-old, the guy I met him, when I so much loved or whatever, I was hanging out with his friends and stuff. That's when I started doing meth. So I was doing meth, on and off all this time. Long time. I didn't really start using needle until 2020, whenever me and my mom got an apartment. It was me and my 3 kids and my mom. At first I got the apartment. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be a responsible adult. I'm gonna pay my bills, and then whatever I have left, I can play with. Yeah, that's not how it happened. We moved in the apartment. In January. I never paid rent, not one time. My mom paid the electric bill, and I got an eviction in September that same year. And the first time we went to court, the landlord didn't go, so they dropped it. And then I got another eviction notice to go back to court, and then they finalized it in December, so we had to move. Back into my truck I go. Well, I got COVID. Me and my kids were in the motel in Lakeland. I got COVID. I was really, really sick. And my aunt kept calling me, and my aunt come to pick up my daughter one day and see me. I was sick as hell in the bed. The room was trashed. The kids were just doing whatever. So my aunt called DCF on me. DCF came over there, and they ended up taking my kids from me. And my aunt's like, go to rehab, get yourself together, you can get the kids back. So I tried to go to rehab the first time in 2021. I went to rehab 30 days, got out. As soon as I got out of rehab, I got my kids. I went to Oxford House in Ocala. I was there for about 6 hours, and I said, this ain't for me. Got my kids and I left. Went back to Florida. Well, I started staying with my cousin in Ocala, and my cousin and they all used. I think I was sober maybe 30 days after I got out, and it was off to the races again. So at this time, I got me and my kids. We were staying with a friend of mine. We were all using, and somebody, I don't know who, somebody ended up calling people to come and for my friend's kids. And when they came in, they seen the house, they seen, it just wasn't good. So they took my kids again. So my two youngest kids went to one of my aunts. And my two youngest kids, well, my aunt had all three of my kids at one time. And then my youngest daughter, she has seizures. So they ended up taking, my aunt said she couldn't take care of her, so she ended up going to a medical foster home. Well, I begged my family, I begged everybody, I was like, please, something happens, if I can't do this, I don't want to lose her, never see her again. I want somebody to have a family where at least if I make it through, I'll be able to see her, or if something happens and I lose her for good, at least I'll get to see her. Well, that went on for about a year, and finally, one of my other aunt, she took her. Well, my oldest daughter that was with my aunt, she turned of age, and she ended up moving out. She's in college now. So, my son's with this aunt. I got my daughter's with my other aunt. They're both, they won't let me see my kids. They won't let me do any, won't let me around them or anything. So, of course, my response is to retreat and just drown the world out. Started using really, really bad then. That's whenever the needle got really, really bad. And, I ended up moving in with my, cousin and her boyfriend, his parents. I lived there they were there about 4 months. I was paying her $300 a month, which I was doing that for once. And one day, we leave to go somewhere, and we come back that night, and the whole house is empty. They done dipped out, left us. Come back to the house. We were there a couple days. Next thing you know, the lights are turned off. And I'm like, what's going on? Can't get a hold of nobody. Well, then the sheriff comes and says the house has been, they're condemning the house. Everybody has to leave. Well, I had nowhere to go, so me and my cousin, we were just like, we'll just move the beds out to the porch, we'll just stay here at the house, we know the house, there's a bathroom, whatever. Well, at the time, I was like, whatever, I don't care, we'll do whatever, at least we'll be here, we're one place, we'll be safe. Yeah, that's not the case at all. I think the last 6 months of my addiction, I lived on that front porch of that abandoned house for like 6 months. We had no water, no lights. Her boyfriend was going and getting us buckets of water from the gas station, which was right down the street. And we were bathing out the buckets of water. We were cooking whatever we could. I had friends bringing us food and drinks. And my cousin found out she was pregnant. And I told her, I looked at her, I was like, bro, I said, we can't keep living like this. We can't. I said, we got to do something. I said, I don't know what y'all are going to do. I said, but me, I said, I'm going back to rehab. So I called my mom, or I called my aunt. I told my aunt, I said, I'm ready to go back to rehab. And she's like, Crystal, she's like, I don't know why you want to do this for. It's not going to work. You're just going to stay like this forever. You just need to accept it. I said, hell no. No. I'm not going to accept it. So I called the rehab I was at before and talked to the Mrs. Lady. And she said, we'll get you Uber. She's like, you're going to come tomorrow. I said, okay, well, when it's got time for me to go, she said that I had to wait because my spine even took it. Because I should have came that same day, but I didn't. So, where I was staying at, we like I said, the police that come over there, they come over there, they put us off the property. They told about they put us off the property. So I'm sitting out by the road. It's cold as hell. It's December. It's cold. All I had on was something like this right here and a pair of shorts and no shoes, no socks. It was cold. All my shit stacked up. What I could get out of the house was stacked up beside me. I called my baby sister all day. She was not even around nowhere. Finally got a hold of my middle sister and I told her, I was like, hey, I need you to come get me, give me a ride. Take me to my friend's house and drop me off. And she's like, what friend? I was like, just take me to this guy's house, drop me off. I said, I'll be okay, I'll figure it out after that. I get in the car with her, we're driving, and she's like, where am I taking you? I said, I want to go. It was like, I think we were in Lakeland, I want to go to Dade City. And she's like, okay. She's like, let me stop by my house real quick. I got to do something and I'll take you. I was like, all right. You know, I got utensils on me. I got dope on me. And it's like, my sister's in the house. She's been in the house like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, well, she's in there. You know, I'll hit one real quick. You know, it don't take me long. Well, before I could even do anything here, she comes out the door. And I'm in the car, I'm waiting. And she comes, gets in the car. And it's kind of weird because where she lives, you take one main road that goes out. Well, she's like, well, I need to go over here real quick. I'm gonna go around this way because they said they got the road blocked off or something down there. I was all right, you know, so I'm not paying attention. I'm just riding. And where she's going, she takes the street up by the hospital, and I'm like, that's kind of like, you just did a whole U-turn. And she's like, no, she's like, it'll be okay. We'll get there quicker. I was like, all right, whatever, you know, not really figuring out what's going on. Well, we pull in. She just kind of like pulled off down into the emergency, I guess where the emergency room is. And she pulls aside, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, hold on, I'll be right back. And before I can ask her anything else, she hops out the car. I was like, what the hell, you know? So I'm looking around, you know, watching. I see two security guards in there, and I'm like, you know, what the fuck? I don't know what's going on. Well, I see my sister come out of the double doors. They open. Here comes my sister and two big old dudes. And I was like, oh hell, I already knew what was going on. And before I could even unlock my door to do anything, she hit the car button, lock again, locked me in the car. And I'm sitting there looking at her, she's going. And I was like, oh, Jesus. And they come to the door, and the man opens the door. He's like, my sister's like, Crystal, these guys are going to help you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Going to help me? I don't need no help. I'm good. And she's like, I'm not taking you to nobody's house for you to die on me. She's like, you're going to stay here. She's like, and I'm going to have you Baker Act, and you're going to stay here until they have a better rehab for you, and that's what you're going to do. I was pissed. I was so mad. I was like, I'm cussing at her. I'm like, bro, I hate you. I can't believe you did this to me. And they take me in. I mean, I've already been up like 4 or 5 days, and I'm freaking out, and I'm just like all over the place, and I can't be quiet. I won't be still. And then they're trying to take blood from me. You know, I'm thrashing around. So they come in. I hit it again. So they come in. They strap me to the bed. You know, they get my blood and everything. And my sister's like, I love you. She kisses me on my forehead, and she just leaves. I'm laying there, I'm crying, I'm pissed off, like, what the hell's going on? They come in, they escort me down to, I guess, where all the suicide watch people and shit are. And I'm in there for like 3 days in my room. They're bringing food and stuff, you know, but we really couldn't, you know, you can't leave unless you get the armband where you can leave or whatever. They wasn't gonna give me that, because they know, they give me that shit, I'm first door time, I'm out, I'm gone. It was gonna be over with. So, like 3 days, I had to sit and stew in my own thoughts and think, and just think about everything, you know, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I hate her, I can't believe she did this to me. And I remember the lady coming in there after like 3 days. I was up sleeping on and off, you know, they'd come in and take my blood pressure, and I know the 3rd or 4th day they come in there, the doctor come in there to talk to me, and I was like, can I use the phone? And they were like, yeah, who are you going? I said, I need to call my mom. Well, it's funny because when I put the phone to call my mom, didn't dial my mom's number, I called my sister. And she answered the phone, and she's like, hello, and I'm like, I just couldn't say that to her, because I was mad at her, but I was more grateful for her at that time, because I know if that wouldn't have happened, I probably wouldn't sit here right now, my kids wouldn't have their mom. All I could do was, I just started crying, and she's like, it's okay, you know, I don't want you to hate me, I did it for your own good. She's like, no, somebody had to show you some tough love, because if we didn't do this, it wasn't gonna help you, we were gonna lose you. And after that, you know, I stayed there for 2 weeks, left from there, went to my rehab down in Sarasota, Bradenton. And then, I went there February 1st and March 1st, I came here. I called 8 auction houses. I got 5 interviews and I got 1 welcome home. And after all them time, I went to Auction House Land Lakes. And that's where I've been now since March 1st of 2004.
Woo.
Did I do better?
Yeah.
Did I do better this time?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Remember when I told my story the first time I did it?
No.
You-
I wasn't there. I wasn't
It
there.
was-
No, it was
it
There were
was
a few people.
It was Wilson,
um,
it was me, and it was,
Wilson and Caitlin. It was
Corey.
Caitlin and
Okay.
Tabitha
yeah.
and Corey.
Oh yeah, Tabitha went.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna open it up. Anybody got any